The night the envelope went missing, Elias was already late. He had closed the shop with hands that shook more than usual, fingers stiff from the cold and from a worry he had learned to carry quietly. The cash drawer was light, as it had been for weeks. Rent was due. The power bill lay unopened on the counter at home. He turned the key and pulled his coat tighter, counting the steps to the bus stop because counting kept his mind from running ahead to the consequences he could not afford. On the bus, the city slid past in blurred streaks of sodium light. Elias held his satchel close, habit more than fear, the leather scuffed from years of use. Inside it, folded and refolded, was the envelope, payroll money meant to be deposited in the morning. He had promised himself he would take it straight home and lock it away. He did not plan for the jolt when the bus lurched to avoid a car, or the way the satchel strap slipped from his shoulder. He did not plan for the envelope to slide free when he reached down to steady himself. He noticed the loss 3 stops later. His stomach dropped, then hardened. He searched the satchel, then the floor at his feet, then the aisle. The bus hummed forward, indifferent. Elias pulled the cord and stepped off into the cold, his breath shallow. He stood under a flickering streetlight and tried to think. He could run back along the route, though it was dark. He could call the driver, though the driver would not remember a paper envelope on a crowded bus. He could go home and explain in the morning, though explanation did not change numbers. He chose to walk back. The sidewalks were empty. He scanned gutters and benches, peered under parked cars. He reached the stop where the bus had lurched. The ground was clean. There was nothing. When he finally turned toward home, his legs felt hollow. He imagined the owner's face when he told him. He imagined the words he would use to say he had failed without using the word itself. The owner was a woman named Ruth. She had bought the shop after her husband died and kept it open because closing it would have meant admitting the end of something she did not want to bury. She paid on time. She expected the same. She was precise. She did not raise her voice. She did not forgive easily, not because she was cruel but because she believed forgiveness could be confused with carelessness. Elias slept badly. In the morning, he dressed as if for a long walk, because it was one. He rehearsed sentences. He practiced not sounding defensive. He practiced the silence that would follow. At the shop, Ruth was already there, counting inventory with a pencil sharpened to a point that suggested patience rather than anger. Elias waited until she looked up. "I lost it," he said. He explained. He did not embellish. He did not ask for mercy. He knew that asking would not change the ledger. Ruth listened without interruption. When he finished, she nodded once and returned to her list. The pencil scratched. She made a mark. She set the pencil down. "We'll wait," she said. "If it turns up, we'll talk. If it doesn't, we'll talk." It was not reassurance. It was postponement. The day passed with a thin tension that threaded every interaction. Customers came and went. Elias rang them up with care that bordered on reverence. He did not know what else to offer. At closing time, he took the bus again, this time watching every movement of his satchel with a vigilance that came too late. 2 stops in, a man boarded carrying a paper bag folded with care. He took the seat across from Elias. He was older, his coat too large, his hands marked by work that had not paid well. He glanced at Elias, then at the satchel, then away. When the bus stopped, the man stood, hesitated, and held out the bag. "You dropped this last night," he said. "I found it under the seat." Elias took it with both hands. The envelope was inside, intact. The man smiled, small and quick, and stepped off. Elias sat frozen as the bus pulled away. Relief flooded him, then drained, leaving a clarity that felt sharp. He could take the envelope to Ruth in the morning and the problem would dissolve. No one would know how close he had come. He could say nothing about the man. He could return to his life with a story that ended well because it ended quietly. At home, he set the envelope on the table and stared at it. He thought of the man's coat, the way it hung, the way the smile had been offered without calculation. He thought of the cost of a bus pass, the cost of a bag of groceries. He thought of the rule he had learned as a child and ignored as an adult because it complicated things. When something returns to you, return something with it. The next morning, he took the envelope to the shop. Ruth counted the money. She looked at him. "Good," she said. She made a note. The ledger closed. Elias waited. "There's something else," he said. He told her about the man. He described the bag, the coat. He did not know why he added that the man had smiled. Ruth listened. The pencil remained still. When he finished, she nodded, but it was a different nod. "We should find him," she said. It was not a question. They put a notice on the bus route, a simple description, a phone number. Days passed. Then the man came to the shop, hat in hand, uncertain. His name was Matteo. He had found the envelope and debated what to do with it because debating was safer than deciding. He had decided because deciding, he said, was cheaper in the long run. Ruth offered him a chair. She asked about his work. He told her about jobs that ended and one that might begin. She listened as if the information mattered because it did. When he finished, she reached into the till and took out a sum that made Elias catch his breath. "It's a reward," she said. "For returning what wasn't yours." Matteo shook his head. "I didn't do it for that." "I know," Ruth said. "That's why it's a reward." He took the money slowly. He thanked her. He stood to leave, then hesitated. "The bus pass," he said, embarrassed. "It runs out." Ruth wrote something on a slip of paper. She slid it across the counter. It was an address. "Come by on Tuesday," she said. "We need help with deliveries." Matteo came on Tuesday. He came on Thursday. He came the next week. He worked carefully. He asked questions that suggested attention rather than insecurity. Customers noticed. They tipped. The shop steadied in small ways that added up. One afternoon, a boy came in with a jar of coins and a look that suggested the weight of a decision. He wanted to buy something he could not afford. Elias watched him count and recount. He remembered the envelope. He remembered the bus. He remembered the space between losing and finding. "It's fine," Elias said, before he could reconsider. He adjusted the price. The boy looked at him as if seeing him clearly for the first time. He nodded and left. Ruth watched from the back. She did not say anything then. At closing, she did. "Be careful," she said. "Kindness isn't a substitute for accounting." "I know," Elias said. "I just know." Weeks passed. The city warmed. The shop settled into a rhythm that felt earned. Matteo brought in pastries on Fridays, cheap and good. Ruth pretended not to like them and ate too. Elias paid his bills. The ledger stayed balanced. One evening, a woman came in near closing, frantic. She had lost her wallet. She asked if anyone had turned it in. Elias felt the old tension, the old calculus. He looked at Ruth. Ruth looked at the floor where the wallet lay, kicked under a shelf. Ruth picked it up and handed it to the woman without comment. The woman cried. She left. Ruth locked the door and leaned against it for a moment. "Why?" Elias asked, though he knew. Ruth considered the question. "Because rules are tools," she said. "And mercy is a choice." He thought of the owner she had been when he first met her. He thought of the person she had allowed herself to be after a loss that had hardened her habits. He saw now that mercy had not undone her precision. It had refined it. Months later, the bus route changed. The notice came down. The envelope became a story that was told less often, than not at all. But its effects remained, measurable in ways that did not fit neatly on a page. Matteo saved enough to move closer to work. The boy came back with a friend and paid full price without comment. Elias learned to watch for the moment when a decision could tip toward care without toppling the structure that held everything else up. One night, long after closing, Ruth handed Elias a set of keys. "You should open," she said. "You already do." He took them. They were heavier than he expected. He understood that weight now. He understood that choosing mercy did not erase responsibility. It added to it. On the bus home, he sat by the window. A man boarded with a paper bag folded with care. Elias smiled, small and quick, and looked away, content to let the city move on, carrying with it the quiet evidence that a single choice, made without spectacle, could change the shape of many days.